Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Risk Neutral Trading Globex edition. So this is my virtual trading journal, and typically the normal journal is for the RTH session, and it runs from 8 o'clock Central Standard Time in the morning until 1500. And I've started this Globex edition here to determine if there's some interesting opportunities in the Globex opening range trade and also into the Tokyo or Asia opening range trade. So this stream lasts about usually 3-4 hours rather than the full day. The reason for the streams, they are my virtual trading journal. Everything that I'm watching on the screens here, Bookmap or IRT, are captured in the video, and then my voiceover, this narration, provides insight as to what I was thinking. I have a commitment to never take any trade off the stream. Every trade I take is captured in the stream, live, real time. There is no recording. There is no back testing. Replay. The trades are live and they're here now on the stream. So the purpose of that is, first of all, obviously it's my trading journal. What good would it, how stupid would it be not to capture my trades and narrate them and manage them, etc. Having said that, I'm not a financial advisor, nor is this meant for financial or trade advice. So there's a disclaimer in the description here, but obviously I do capture every trade live and real time, and that's the reason for this Globex stream now. As I said, I'm investigating if there's some interesting trade opportunities in these early Globex and Asia Open for the opening range breakout. And if I see an opportunity, I'll trade it. And I would not be able to if I weren't streaming, because that would violate my commitment. So this is Central Standard Time. All the times on my charts that I refer to are Central Standard. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice I stream the entire monitor, not just the application. So there's any open program, including the system, hours, minutes, seconds, and the date, and that ties back to Bookmap or IRT. So we have just kicked off the Globex session here on the 11th of June, 2026. Quite an interesting RT8 session with the kind of flat, and then all of a sudden this geopolitical thing kicked in, and we were bombing Iran, and we're not going to bomb Iran, and we're not going to bomb Iran anymore because now we're going to have a deal, and let's hope. Let's just hope that they actually get the job done this time and get this thing ended. It's, there's a lot of different opinions whether it ever should have started in the first place. And for me, it's important to remember, and I think it's important to point out that 4 months ago, there was no issue in the Strait of Hormuz or war in Iran or in the Middle East. There was an ongoing drama between Israel and some of these other countries, which has been going for 40 years, but no escalation in that activity, and there was no issues at all in the Straits of Hormuz or with Iran. So now, but here we are. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do on Bookmap here is put in the blue boy, which is a vertical line on the open of every session. That enables me to glance left, and if I see this line, I know that I have this starting print, and I always know that this is the inside market. This is the current inside market. So this can then be the full session so far in view. And there we are. The columns here on Bookmap are the micro composite, the volume, high and low volume nodes, full session volume profile, which just started plotting, the RTH volume profile and delta, which will reset tomorrow morning at 8:30, the statistical open for today, and those statistics that apply to the associated price session prices, but of course that's for today, and those will all be reset, and we calculate the new statistics and put them in place in the pre-market 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. So be sure you mark, like, and subscribe, and come by tomorrow. These are the session prices, which push automatically from Bookmap to IRT, and here is the book, the full order book, all liquidity, resting orders, or limit orders, and these are the prices. So IRT, which I mentioned, is this charting package, and it drives a lot of what I do. The tabs here are, first of all, you can, if you look at the any one of these windows and you look up here, you will see that there is the instrument, chart type, the periodicity, and the session on any of them. This tab configuration here is for the micros, and this is for the similar exact setup for the minis. I just restarted this, so did some data management and restarted it, and I want to adjust this to, I have such a big, okay. And these are the full sessions. So there you are. This is IRT. And notice that these current, the contracts are going to expire at the end of the first of next week. So this will be the last, tomorrow will be the last trade on this M contract, and then we'll be rolling. So let's get on with the opening range breakout, because we have opened. At the moment, the first print is, obviously, we've got the opening range low put in first, right down here. And then we will put in the opening range high. So I'm going to mark the opening range first. I don't have any of this automated as I do for during the RTH session, where these levels will be pushed across to Bookmap until I decide whether this is worth doing or not, you know. I believe that it probably is, but I want to be sure. So let's look at what we're doing here. I assume that, I'm hoping anyway, that you know what the opening range breakout is. And probably, as much as I hate to, well, I don't hate to, but this is a new tool I've never used before, but I really am, I really find it handy. And this is the trading view thing. Here's well, we're not going to bomb Iran anymore. Whoop. So here is the opening range breakout. I'm going to get rid of this data column up here because this is from today. Okay, down here. It's such a handy tool, and I've never used it before. I only started using it, or just found out about this month or so ago, because I have an Edgeful subscription, which we're going to use to analyze the data. And as a part of that, there's a whole bunch of indicators which they've built, and they are right here. All of these indicators they built come with the subscription free. So, you know, and it was pretty easy to set up trading views to be able to use them. So that was pretty cool. Let's get down here and set up the dashboard now for this one, which is Asia. There we are. So far we have an 11 point opening range. Here was today's initial balance. I differentiate in my terminology between initial balance and opening range because, to me, the initial balance is the first hour of the RTH trading session, by definition. The opening range in my case here, can be any period of time for these other sessions to open that you want to measure. I use the same measurement or time period as the initial balance. So I use 1 hour. That's why, and these will plot, and I have the percentages of the range calculated the same, etc. But I refer to it when it's not the RTH session, I refer to it as the opening range. I think that's correct. And I want to be sure it's, I think it kind of differentiates between the two. So here's our opening range starting at 1700. This is Central Standard Time. We've got the right dashboard over here. So this will just keep plotting along for the first hour. And we'll notice here that the initial balance low is put in first because we've now pushed up higher, initial balance high. So the initial balance low is first placed initial balance low so far. That can change, of course, but there we go. Now, that's part and parcel of that will be used for the statistics that we're going to look at for this opening range trade. And over here in IRT, I hope I had that on the right window for you. And I'll bet I didn't. I'm still a little groggy. I'm sorry. Get back to IRT or Trading View. Here is the dashboard which I just switched out. This is the opening range for the current market. Here is our initial balance for this RTH session, which is just over. There's the we're not going to bomb Iran anymore, and then up we go. So let's see what happens. Let's hope he gets it together. And here we are with the opening range. It's still forming. There's the opening range low first. And okay, now we're in the right windows. I'm sorry. And this is IRT, which is my charting package, as you know. But there is a difference here. IRT is the package and the platform that I've used to vet, statistically verify, or identify setups and their, whether they have a statistical edge or expectancy or not. Typically, I do that by this method. I code the trading system, and then I'm able to back test and do all those things. The chart here, these charts next to the trading system have nothing to do with the trading system in so far as a function of it. But what they do is when I send the results of this trading system to the chart for real-time forward testing, the chart will, when there's a trade, it will plot it over here. So this gives me a visual reference to be able to know if stuff's happening when and where I think it should, which is pretty important. So that's how these work. And I'm able to back test, and I've generated, I've got lots of back test data verifying expectancy and all of the parameters that I believe you need in order to trade a statistically verified setup. And I take no trades which are not statistically proven by me to have a positive expectancy. So this one was where I'm going with all of this is I need to get this down here because I restarted IRT. So I should have done this first, but hey, I had stuff to do. Life gets in the way, right? Life gets in the way while you're making other plans. Okay. At the moment, then, here's Asia. Here's the U.S. session, which just closed in the IB, and now here we go, plotting off the new one. I don't have the zones or any of these indicators built here yet, and this is where those values or those lines push from to Bookmap. Now, it's clear, it's important for me to point out in every stream, whether it's the first trading system, which I was showing you here, or this one, or any backtesting or forward testing system in IRT, it all happens within the IRT simulated world, because I'm not confident enough about my trading and coding skills, et cetera, to push this stuff to the live account, AMP, or the Lucid. So any trades that are viewed or, looked at or analyzed over here are on IRT, are within the IRT simulated environment. That's important to know. So what we're going to do now is we're building out the opening range breakout trade, and that's coded over here. And let's now look at the data to mine all of this. We're still, where'd that go? We're still plotting right there, huh? And they continue to go up, and that's really typical. Anytime we have a market that does this kind of thing and then close, and then we open the Globex, typically it continues on. So let's look at the data now that we're going to need to lean on here. And this is Edgeful. Whether you're familiar with it or not, I would hope so. Let's start by looking at the opening range stuff. So this is the opening range breakout data and report to analyze that data. First thing we need to do is change the day to Friday. And we need to change the session. Oh, Friday's over here, sorry. We need to change the session because it's no longer New York. It is Chicago Globex 5-7. And this is going to be Friday's trade. Oh, I'm going to have a problem with this now, I guess. It has a real problem doing this by weekdays. So here we are, Friday's trade. We don't have the day. And in this time zone or session, we would expect 36% breakout, 30% breakdown, which is short, no break, and both breaks. The thing you have to watch out for is that there's MES 6 months, there's not a lot of data. Let's get back to the day here and see if we can get some more data in here and have it pull. We see that it actually is working. The problem that I have sometimes with this is because of the short session, it doesn't know where the day cutoffs are. Yeah, it's not going to work. That sucks. All right, well, we'll fix you and just go, we'll do something else, and the hell with you. If you want to play that way, go by rejection then. How about that, smarty pants? So I've got to change some custom settings down here that were in place from before. So I will do so. Friday instead of Thursday. And we'll make these all days because we don't know where the ending zone is yet. Huh. This thing is not going to play nice, that's for sure. Okay. Let's do this then. I don't like doing this because I'm not interested. Okay, here we are, and we can get back to the days. This will work on the days now. The problem is, based on this zone, these statistics can be achieved at any point between 1700 now and 8:30 in the morning. Well, that's not what we're interested in on this particular in this particular study, right? Because we're looking at this Globex, and then we're going to look at Tokyo. So that's kind of frustrating, but there we are. So here are the basic breakdown. Now, breakout means to the upside or long, and breakdown means to the short side on most of their reporting. So here's breakouts, breakdowns, double breaks. Let's look at the rejections. And I believe we can do the rejection. That's Friday. And there's no zone, so that's fine. MES 1 year. Let's see if 6 months will pull in. Oh. Assuming the IB high is formed first, these would be the statistics. If the IB low is formed first, these are the statistics. So far, the IB low was formed first. We remember that. Over here, there's the opening print, and there's the IB low first. And we've also watched that be the case here. Opening low, opening print, opening low, we're going up. So in this case, we would expect, with the data that we have so far, an 86%, is that 80 or 50? Wow, my eyes are bad. 86% probability, or 87, that we're going to break the orb or the opening range high. I'm going to call it orb from now on, the orb high. 13% we're going to break the orb low. Based on the custom data that we have down here, and there's no ending zone yet. So, we've been in the game now 20 minutes. And it should be no secret just looking at this. Well, here's the New York high, or Chicago, high, low, and ought to be no secret. We're probably going to take the top out, right? Okay. What I'm going to do now is something that you'll probably agree is pretty important. We need to be able to trade this mess if something happens, right? So in order to trade with Bookmap, the first thing you need to do is activate the trade control panel, which is right here with that little button. And then select an account, which is a new thing they do in this new version. I'm using these lucid evaluations because that was the only way I could de-risk from 2 micros on my live AMP account right here and maintain and still be able to maintain scaling, runners, typical trade management things that I do, and also have payouts. So it wasn't just like putting on a sim thing and just, playing. So this is real market data from Rhythmic, and it's live data, and there we go. Now, we're going to put that at 5 contracts, and then you can click this button again, and you get your real estate back. You get cancel, and you get close. Plus I have the metrics up here that I choose to see. So I'm all set to trade over here. Another thing I need to do is make sure now that the session statistics are correct. Going to the right journal. And I don't know this journal. I've never gone there and looked at it, to be honest with you. I use static journal where I can take my trades and go over there. And I have a journal that I've kept here. It's not current now because I've been using static, but I used for years my own homemade. And we're going to do multi-account trading because this is Lucid and there are 5 accounts behind it. And that's the way that this works. dynamics of scale, the economy of scale by having 5 accounts. So one trade here multiplies across 5, and that's how you get substantial payout. That would be similar to, actually better, more actually than just trading to a private account. So here we are. Now we're set up to trade here, and what I need to do now, the second thing I need to do is set up the the hedge, which is the trade management function. That one of the reasons that I'm doing this evening and in Lucid is to test this out exactly, and I'll describe to you how this works. And again, same drill. Select an account, and it's got to be the same for the trade copy thing. And we're going to do one mini. This is the ES mini. Remember the headers? And the other one's the ES micro. So I would assume and hope that anybody hearing this realizes that the ratio is 10 micros to 1 mini. So we're getting towards I'll explain the hedge theory here in a minute, the hedge story. We've got, 30 minutes to go or more, so no rush. One thing else to point out, I think that's important is I'm an old guy, old cowboy from Montana, and that's the truth. And I'm not a code wizard or anything like that. And I keep this, I believe in the KISS principle, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And boy, I do that. You'll notice there's no fancy things or indicators on my book map or my IRT. I trade and make this decision based on volume, price levels, and session prices. And most importantly, statistics or probabilities. So there's no indicators over here. There's a VWAP for the Globex and the RTH. There's a POC for the Globex and the RTH. Neither one of those are mysterious, right? If you don't know, POC is just nothing more than a marker at price where the most contracts have traded so far in the session. So far in this session, not even 30 minutes, 74.10 is where the most contracts have traded, 456 of them. The split nanosecond that one of these other price levels trades more than 462, that line's going to move down there. That's it. And this is the volume weighted average price, which is a calculation, but I guess everybody knows that. That's it. And then session prices, and these liquidities are really important. So what we're going to do now is there's some elements in my, let me just do this. Let me just do this. So in order to be able to trade with Bookmap, as I said, you've got to have these activate the trade control panel, set up the accounts, set up the instruments and the number of contracts you're going to trade. And then now we're looking at the hedge. We've got that set up as well right over here. And the way that what will happen with the hedge is just, well, let me start over. I have very specific trade plan. And part of that are some absolute do's and don'ts. I never trade without a stop, and I would never move a stop away from entry in a million years. I don't chase. I don't FOMO. I don't overtrade. Sometimes I am so focused on those points that I, sometimes miss, like, okay, I'm focusing. I missed my entry here, and I'll be so focused on not chasing that when it comes back up, which could be considered a viable second, test, and I don't take that trade. And that's not good, but I'm just saying that happens sometimes. Now, so we have this set up to go, and typically I would trade a risk neutral 2-lot package, which has 2 profit targets and a stop. In this case, the stop will be substituted, or the hedge will be substituted for the stop at the same stop location. In this case, 12-tick stop, or which is a 3-tick, a 3-point stop, right? So the way that I have a little tool that I cooked up, which helps me a lot, and that's right over here. So this graphically displays, changes the price ladder along and puts the various entries and scales over here, and it's based on the direction and the price. So let's just imagine, for the sake of explanation here, 54.10, and let's say we're going to go long. Okay, just for the hell of it. So let's put in here 53 or 74.10. That's our entry price. There's our 5 contracts, micros, which we just put in the trade control panel. Our stop location is 12 ticks. So what's going to happen here, and this is already, and it's a short. Now we're going to go long. See, you tricked me. Watch that price level over here when I put this in for long, and you'll see what happens. Okay, price has changed around and the location's changed around. So here's our entry at 74.10, and we're going along. We're expecting this going to the moon, baby. Well, maybe not right now. Maybe we missed the moonshot by a little bit, so we're going to get a pullback. Can pull back to here, can do whatever it wants to do. This would be our stop. Comes down here to 74.07, which is our stop level. Now, instead of being a hard stop and out of the market, and we've lost 5 times 12 ticks, 5 times 3 points, 15 points on the micros. We enter 5 more micros long, and we short 1 mini. Now, there's 10 micros in a position, average price 74.0850, and there's 1 mini short. That's a dead hedge. The maximum risk we can possibly have is right there. 6 handles, 6 ticks. Price can go to the moon, it can go to the floor, and that's the most risk we have. Now, the key, of course, to the whole thing is after price comes, the theory is not to just put it on and let it go and then close them both off, at the end of the day or something stupid. The idea is to, rather than stop out, it gives the trade time to breathe and come back to the original premise or the original idea, which is long. And when at what point we decide to take off this short hedge, we can, the short leg, and then let's pretend that we take the short leg off at 74.08. Let's take off the short leg at 74.08 half. Well, not 74.08. We missed the half part because we're slow. Okay. This would be the scratch point. So price would have to continue up to 74.09 and then we're scratched. Then it's a dead scratch, no loss. We're even. We would have been stopped out for 15 ticks, 15 points. Well, 3 times 5, 15. Right here's the dead scratch. And it goes on our way. We manage the trade as normal. What this has done is bought time. That's the theory. So that's what I'm working out. Now, normally in the evenings, I do my homework for statistics, etc. And I would replay random days from somewhere in the past. I don't have to go back far for me not to remember what happened, because I don't that's easy. I don't remember what happened for breakfast, right? So it's easy for me to do that. And I will trade normal speed. If you're not familiar with Bookmap, there's a really, really great playback function, and it is just replays the exact market as exactly like it looks right here. Everything moves exactly the same, and you can put in trades just exactly like you do in the real market. Only the great part is, and I suppose they do it on purpose so people can't scam others, there's a playback bar right here, and it says what day you're replaying. And this says, and down here we don't have real or live data. Have live data, but not real trading. We have a playback and no recording. So I can trade just like I'm going to do tonight, or assuming that we get a setup, and practice doing this kind of stuff. Well, I decided that I wanted to know if there was this opportunities in the Globex, so that now it's just, I don't have the time to do that because I don't have enough hours in the day or enough horsepower. So let's assume and hope that we understand the hedge and the setup. And we have now turned over, we've got about 20 minutes left to go in the for the opening range of the Globex. So there's our low, which hasn't gone anywhere. And I'm going to say that this is our high for the moment. Put those in. And then in a second, we're going to do some statistics, because those are very important. Those zones. You remember the zones? These zones, they're just 25% each of the range. So the range low is first, range high is second, 25, 50, 25, 70, or 75, 100, however you want to look at it. You can change those too if you'd like, but that's the way I'm going to keep it. Now we have, start getting your head around this. We've got 18 3/4 points range, right? So round it off to 20. Each one of these is about 4 points. Oh, I'm sorry. 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. Boop. So I want to know, and the reason I want to know the value of these ranges, sometimes if you're up here, if price is here at this level, this zone level, and I'm thinking perhaps to anticipate or front run the level, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to risk stopping. This is 4 points, 5 points, right? That's not enough meat on the bone there. And you have to be aware of those things with this, with any trade, but you have to be aware of that with these percentages. And the reason I'm going there with that is pretty quick. I'm going to put these percentages, I'm going to enter them over here by a little calculation guy I've cooked up so that I can because I trade on Bookmap, right? I execute on Bookmap. So it's important for me to be able to see where the hell I am and what I'm doing. And what that's going to be is I am going to use this tool, which it's real simple. I just create what I need because I don't do math quick in my head and I want to be able to get these in there. So right now, our opening range zone is about 74.16.5. And our opening range low is 74.98.75. Oh, 73.98.75. Tricky. Okay, so these would be our zones. So far, 1775. Is that right? No. I think it was 18, wasn't it? Let's look. Well, yeah, this has pushed up difference. This is 1875. So what are these zones here that we have then? Pretty soon this will all be fleshed out over here, but for now we got to do this. There's a couple ways that can do that. You can look at it here on TradingView, or if you want to be lazy and accurate, you can zoom over here to this one, which is a similar thing, right? And here are the levels. So here is the opening range high, 74.16 half, and this is 74.98 quarter. So I've got this in the wrong spot. That's the problem. See that? 74.98 quarter right there. There we go. Now we can come to our tool. Oh, sorry. I hope you saw that. Yes, you did. All I did was come to this tab, which has got the IB high and low for the Globex, and there they are. Boom, bitty boom. Printed out right there in front of you. So we'll come over to our tab again. 1650 and 98 and a quarter. So we have 1650 and 98 quarter. There you are. So here are our zones so far. Now they could change if they push this thing up, but let's put them in there. 74.11.94. I'm going to call that 74.12. I haven't figured out the math to make this do quarters yet, so I'm not going to bother. It's not that permanent thing. Horizontal line, 74.98. Wait a minute. 74.11. Let's call it 74.12. There's the first one. The 50% is 74.737. 74.7. And 25 is good enough. Whoop. Right there. 74.7 quarter. And 74.02.81. So that's going to be 74.02.75, rounding it down. So these will be our zones. IB opening range high, orb high, 25, 50, 25, or below. There you are. And I've yet to trade this hedge thing live, so this will be a learning experience for all of us. But like everything else, transparent and accountable, and on the journal. Why not? How stupid would it be not to, right? And we've got about 15 minutes. Now, when the opening range or the orb period closes, and in other words, these levels are fixed, the statistic is then active. I'll throw a vertical line there, so we have that reference. And so far, we still have the opening range low first, the high second, and we have those levels in, and we have the zones. Now, it could go up here and take out the opening range high and push it up, which is perfectly normal. And then I'll have to readjust the levels and, whatever. I would think, actually, that there's probably a way to turn the level, these values, there's probably a way to turn the label on for those things, like right here. But I don't know. That'd be handy. Then I wouldn't have to do that, use that tool and all that stuff, and it would be automatically correcting. So let me kind of go through the next order of business here with the statistics, which is the ending zone. That's this data point right here. So we think we're going to be over here. That makes perfect sense by where we're trading now, doesn't it? The way you determine the ending zone for any of these stats is the opposite side of the first formed level is where you begin. 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. If it turns around the other way, it would be, flip the other direction. And how that zone is captured is the closing price at the moment the opening range, whatever, or initial balance high set. So in other words, the closing price of the last candle in the first 1 hour indicates the zone, the closing zone. If it were up here, it would be 0 to 25. If it was down here, it would be 25 to 50, 75. There you go. It's really easy, straightforward. But that makes a pretty big difference in the data. They do it over here with this opening range candle. And so in other words, for example, here is the closing price of the initial balance this morning. This is the closing price because this is the last candle that closes outside the zone. This is the last closing price inside the zone. So and the low was put in first, just like right now. So the ending zone for today's IB was 50 to 75%. And there you have it. And that's this figure here. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, got the yawns going on here. Oh, I haven't fired up the music yet. Better do that before I get attacked by the disc jockey union or something. Blues on and call it good enough. News, who knows? I mean, I'm over this bunch of guys back there in Washington now. It's like, I don't think we need to have the world policy done by, like reality TV, but they're there and that's fine. And they got elected and okay. I just really hope they get this solved and get it, wrapped up and behind us. That's the important part. And this will be stream will be wrapped up right at 8:30 because I got a 4:30 wake up. Short nights. Old guy, long days, short nights. That doesn't add up to a very good thing, I don't think. I'm just going to be totally disappointed if they put in another high and I got to redo all these numbers and lines. I don't care. I'm just kidding. So here we are, just trading them out. Once we shift zone on it, and I don't like this at all. Thought I had a way around that. It's one of these. Maybe it was this one. No? Let's try this again and see if it falls on its head. It's the day, sir. It can't figure out when the day stopped and started. It's okay. But I've got it. There's got to be a better way to do this. I thought I had it figured out, but now I'm tired and I'm not sure. Let me see something over here in the time zones. Oh, man. Wow. These are going nuts. 1900. Yeah, I don't think that does me any good. Let me try this. This might break everything. We'll see. So this is 7 o'clock Tokyo morning. And 9 o'clock Tokyo morning. Okay. Go back to Edgeful over here. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, this one works. There we go. So I've got that Globex thing goofy. I'll have to fix that. But let's now I want to get this back before I forget where I am. Oh, UTC -4. All right. Okay, cool. Well, that works. We still haven't pushed the high. They're kind of nudging it up over here. Wish they'd stop that. They're making me anxious. All right, let's get to the data then. Do. So this is Asia Globex 7 to 9. And we're not having any problems with days. Let's see if it works with the daily thing just for the hell of it. By weekday. Oh, look at there. And it's Friday. So here we got it working. Now that's good to know. And then Tokyo is a different one. So there we are. These are the probabilities of breakout, breakdown, double break, no break, and the frequencies of each. 6 months MES. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad that got sorted out. And I start about 6 in the morning. Tomorrow morning it'll be 4:30. So, you know, I'm pushing 12 hours now. Okay. So here we are with our first break. Oh, and notice over here that when we went to this session, there were no occurrences when the opening range low broke first, and only 40% when the opening range high broke. That's pretty weird. I want to be sure that I have these. We get a little bit down here, but so only a 40% high, and then this was the opening range low, looking back at a year. And we don't have the closing zone in there yet. So let's look at the 6 months. Something that I want to point out here that I have is really the forefront of my mind at this point in the day. I don't want to get in a trade that's not going to resolve itself by the time I'm ready to turn this mess off, right? Which is another couple hours. But you understand the point. I'm not going to get in a trade and then sit and babysit the damn thing all night because I can't afford to. I don't have enough horsepower to do that anymore. And then, you know, be up for a full day of streaming and trading tomorrow and do my stuff with Tam and getting up at 4:30 in the morning. So there's the stuff that goes through my mind. And now we're coming back down to the middle. So if we were to close here at 1800, that'll be right there. And I'll point out something else. You notice how I was down there? That's real dangerous. You see how the mouse turns to a $sign when you get in the active data column? If you're not familiar with Bookmap, this is a real heads up. If you accidentally click over here for any reason, you've got an order or a trade on, whether you meant to or not. And there's no relief. Now watch this. Watch the mouse. See that it's on the price? It's still on the price, and the little $sign is not in the column. This happened to me just the other day, and I wanted to move rather than spin the wheel, which will move that column. I clicked and I was going to drag it like this, and I was suddenly in a long from up here. Well, I'm real quick. Unfortunately, I've done it enough that I'm fast to close and cancel, but that's not a pleasant thing to have happen. So in case you're using Bookmap, heads up. Otherwise, it's great. These are Cloud Note columns. And these are, data columns. And there's all, I'm sure you're familiar with Bookmap, all the heat map and zones and balls and all that kind of stuff you can have going on over there that I don't use. Well, I got about a minute until our opening range is placed. And here we are in the, what zone is this going to be in, boys and girls? The 25 to 50. maybe. Which will change our statistic, and then we can decide what we're going to do. And with only a 40% probability, and granted it's the only probability, but I don't think those are very good odds to bet on the come. What do we have now? We got 12 to 16. That's only 4 points. It's also very little meat on the bone. So it looks like we're going to be in the 25 to 50, 0 to 25 zone right up here. Maybe not. We'll look over here. Fortunately, this indicator will tell us the whole shooting match. So the low was formed first. Neither one is broken. Price is something that I would like to. I may look into how I can change this code. Put the last, the closing zone. And now, if I'm not mistaken, yes, I am not mistaken. So our closing zone is in the 25 to 50. Do you see that? Because it's just under the 25% mark. So we're going to drop down to hedge full and we'll complete this. And that's going to be right here. 25 to 50. So it eliminates these. It's now a 33% probability that we break the opening range high. And ironically, nothing on the opening range low. So we need to get some more data in here. Still nothing. Amazing. What I'm starting to wonder about this particular opening range breakout is that it's not worth the time. So rather than starting the stream at 1700, start it at 19. We'll see. I haven't made that decision yet, but that's the purpose of these things right now. Now I'm going to put the opening range closed right there. So that's where the opening range closed. We're in the 25 to 50 zone. Okay, now the next step in the game, or in the date, looking at this from a data point of view. From a data point of view. The next step is the retrace, and this is how this was originally set up to be used. Now we're going to look at the retracement. So, opening range breakdown, opening range breakout. Breakout's long, breakdown is short. Depending on which one happens, if you were a betting person, you would, we're over 50%. We've got a VPOC migration up, and the VWAP is right here. I suppose likely to take the initial balance high, or the opening range high. That would be this one, where it's broken out. Goes down the other way, it's going to be over here. And here's what these levels mean. After the opening range high is broken out, there's a 50% probability, 47% probability we're going to pull back to the 25% level. Only 23% probability we're going to come back to the half. What does that mean? If we break out the half, there's a 43% probability we're going to pull back to here. 23% probability we're going to pull back to here. This price action right here is meaningless. It's in the course of that report. It's meaningless because we haven't broken the opening range high yet, or low, either one. So no breakout. That's how That's how I understand that this report should be used. And of course, the same, if it breaks out the low, you got this over here. So there you go. And we're flopping around, you know, right in the middle of everybody over here. So let's take a look at the rest of the world here. Well, there's what we're doing, and there's what we're doing, and here was today, and here's, you know, market profile, depending on how you like this stuff. And here's our little goodie over here. Boo, got real close and then came back down. I'm not going to bother. Until I know that this is valuable, I'm not going to bother doing creating all these custom indicators, and that would then push across to the, you know, over here. As it is now, in the RT8 session, yeah, they do. It's all there. Each one of these zones is over there. You know, with the zone, the IB high and the zones and all of that stuff is already there. So there's that. Oh, here you go. This is how the trades are plotted from the session when this is today. So here is the outcome of today. And this is, we're not going to bomb anybody anymore, and so it goes zooming back and takes the trailing stop. This is within the simulated environment. I'm just looking at it now. Obviously, if it was real money, I'd have been looking at it like crazy. Okay, that's not showing us much that I can see. I think you'll agree. And now we have to just wait and see what happens. We've got another hour or change. We've got another 55, 47, 6, 8 something minutes. And then we'll start this whole process over again for the Tokyo. Now, I guess while we're standing here, we can go to our new friend trading view. No breakouts. Everybody's okay. Let's look at some of the ones from the past and see how they played out. Here's yesterday. So here was our opening range. High was put in first. Low was put in last. We broke out. We pulled back. And we came down. This would have done something. And I didn't trade it. No, and I'm standing here wondering what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. But that's, this is rear view mirror trading, but that's not really what I'm trying to do here is analyze, do the research, because this is sort of the way that only way I can figure to back this is just kind of review these. This is not by any stretch of the imagination trying to indicate that I did this. I'm trying to understand what happened yesterday in this same period of time. And there was the breakout. Open, breakout, close. Oh, I know what. I believe I remember what I was thinking at this point is I was looking for the 50 and we never got there. Then we came down, we came back up, and by the time we got to the 50, we were moving the other direction. So one of the things that I need to adjust in my mind or to figure out a way to quantify, we remember the zones, okay? So if it's between here and here, there's a probability of here, there's a probability that it'll retrace to here, the 50. So how do I quantify in the middle? You know, okay, I think that's closer, without just being, you know, precise or a sticker about it. And then here is this is the Asia, Tokyo, open low, open, there's a high, breakout, didn't even remotely come back until here. We came right back to the 25. And now there's a few things to consider. Here's the ending zone. So that means very low probability we're going to get, well, the only real probabilities to the 25 zone and very little to the 50. This is that what I'm talking about. How do I quantify that? So in hindsight, it comes back here to the 25, and that should be the long, and wouldn't that have been a pleasure? I was long gone by now. This is 21:30. I'd shut everything off an hour and 30 minutes ago because I closed it at 20:30 because I'm tired and it's, you know, dinner and family and to bed, and I've got to get up and do this again in the morning. But that I hope helps visualize what I'm thinking and the way I'm thinking to trade these. And remember, this is my trading journal. The purpose of me talking here is to get what I'm thinking into the recording that I review and that I think. This is my journal. And if what I'm talking about is helpful to anybody else, yahoo. But there you go. Oh. The big one that I'm puzzling about now is we break out. First of all, I don't think front running these levels is a good idea, especially in this. You might get away with that during the RTH when there's movement. And another thing I should point out while having said that, what the hell, I was on the right screen. I hope I was on the right screen when we were talking about all of this. Yesterday, low, high, breakout, directly right to the 25 and off it went. I hope this was on the right window. I'm bad about that. Sorry. Anyway, back to today. I don't think front running is good at all, especially in this light volume environment of these opening range, ETH or the Asia stuff. The Globex might get by with it in the RTH session because of more volume. Another thing that's important that I need to look at some point if I continue this, investigation, which I'm sure I'm going to go along for a while until I've got some meaningful data under my belt before I make some decision about continuing or not. But one thing that I have noticed that other people, the one guy that trades this frequently, they're trading the NQ or the MNQ, not the mini. And for me to capture the MQ and the MNQ over here for the daily data, or for this data, it's a huge recording. And I can't stop and start it in the middle, It was put a huge load on my resources because I was doing that. So there. Yeah, so we're 16.5 points wide. No, 18.5 points wide. 1875 high. The zone, this is the swing range time frame, 1 hour. No breakouts, nobody left on third. which is kind of cool because that means my zony-wonies over here are all right. The zone calculations are correct. And we've already done the math and the stats for the ending zone. So we have and we know that should it break the low, there's a 53% probability we'll pull back. 47% we're going to pull back on the high. Only 23 we're going to get down to the 50. Now, what some people have done on this trade, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth to TradingView because I think it's easier to visualize for the purpose of the stream here. For example, if the data was such that it was clearly, let's assume that the probability is high that we're going to take the initial balance high, opening range high. Some folks front run long off the 50, targeting the high with a stop at the low. That's 1-to-1. That's another way to do it. And here's something else I'm thinking at this point is, I'm not sure that the hedge concept would be particularly applicable as a trade management tool in this light volume, narrow rangey stuff. That's a thought, huh? Let's look at it on a bigger scale over here where it's easier to see. Let's say we're going along at 11. Eight's the stop and the hedge. Or maybe do it to the levels, or 4 or 5 points instead of 3, so that it's under the 50. You know what I mean? Just thinking about different ways and possibilities to use that. And I could always just revert back to the risk neutral trade, my risk neutral 2-lot package, and have the scale and then the runner and the hard stop. That's also a possibility. I hadn't thought about that before. I've been so fixated on trying to get some trades off on this hedge thing. My old risk neutral, let's take a look at that. For years, literally, I used a multi-bracket. This is the 16 tick. There's also, for years, it was 12 ticks, which went somewhere. I don't even see it. Oh, right here. Now, the way this methodology works is 2 lots, lot size, 12 tick stop. First profit target is dictated by the setup. It's for half of the package and for the same amount of ticks positively as the stop is negative. Then there's a runner. So if we were going to use that, which I'm going to untick that before I get myself tied in a knot here. If I were going to use that, let's pretend we go along right there at 12. Well, the stop is going to be 3 points down. So the stop's going to be at 9, right of the POC. Hard stop for both contracts. T1 is going to be up here at 14 or so. 3 points, right? And then the runner's off the map. Maybe that's a more efficient, or shall we say feasible or probable trade management setup in these opening range with this crazy stuff going on, as opposed to the hedge. There's really no difference other than the amount of contracts. There's no difference in because it's all the hedge, philosophy does is replace hard stop. Doesn't change the location of it, replaces it. And then there are more contracts involved here, because in order to get a hedge off, you got one mini, you got to have 10 micros, not 2. So I need to think about that. If I'm going to put the same risk on, let's think about that. I think we can here for a while. Let's look at the multi-brackets and think about this. The straight up contract, well, first of all, it's an uneven number, so that's goofy right away. You can put as many different levels and legs on this thing as you want, but you can't do it. These are take profits. These are not entries. There's one entry price. There's not two separate, like this, like the entries are in the hedge, where if it gets to the stop, you add another 5, and then it does that. It does. I don't know how to get that to work in any of these trade management things for IRT, Bookmap. So if you wanted to really be, precise, I guess you put a 10 lot on here, and then a 5 lot at the stop, and the other 5 lots the runner. That would be the same risk as if you were in the hedge. The thing about the hedge that makes it different is the hedge is only applied if it's a stop. Now we're down to the 50% line here, see? And we could just, last night, I think, let's look. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. I don't. Must have been the week before. Must have been before. We didn't take out the one of these nights last night. I've been doing this now since a week ago, back Sunday. It didn't take the high until like minutes before, or literally a minute or two before the end of this Globex and the start of the Asia session. So that's another one for me to deal with. If I'm in a trade now, if I put a trade on here somewhere, how do I got to ensure that I conclude it one way or the other before Asia starts, I guess. And maybe this is where being able to backtest is so important, because you can find out all these parameters. In other words, maybe this is useless in the long term. But Asia isn't, but Tokyo's not. Maybe. Just thinking out loud here. Just thinking out loud. Boy, I envy that cat. He gets hugged and loved by a beautiful gal, fed like a king, and sleeps all the time. I want to be reincarnated as I want to be reincarnated as my wife's cat. Okay. Gonna bother him by moving my headset. I guess the music's still going. It looks like it is on OBS. I don't have speakers in here, so if I want to hear what the music's doing or preview, check in on it, I need to grab my headset. The desk is quiet, except for my talking. So things to think about here, try to keep these chapters out because it's so important. I forget them at night. The session chapters are markers, because as I've mentioned, these are my virtual journal. So, and I do review them. One of the reasons why I stream to YouTube is because I can review these on any device, which is pretty handy because these are stand-up desks that I have no chair in here at all. Actually, I have one now, so the cats can use it as a ladder to jump up on the stand-up desk. And I'm in it minimum 7 hours, and now it's close to 15, 16 hours a day. So to be able to review it on any device is pretty nice. And those chapter markers are real important because I'm sure as hell not going to ever sit and listen to 7 hours. That's what the RTH stream is every day. So I want to have those chapter markers in there real accurately, so I can just move from one thing I was thinking or talking about or trade at a time. I think it's live. Yes, it is. So we're banging around on the 25 down to 75 down here. They're actually teasing it down to the low. I wish I could put, you can't do much with bookmap drawing stuff. Like I can't have a label on these levels and stuff, or at least that I know how to do very easily. That's why I take the time and trouble to push these kind of levels like this thing from IRT, because I know how to do that, and I can get what I want over here on bookmap. These push from IRT that I've set up. These push from IRT. These various levels push from IRT. Can push session prices or the old IB zones or the new IB percentages, and I think that's all I've hooked up. That's a pretty interesting thought about not pushing on the edge during these times, using the risk neutral 2 lot or 5 lot or whatever, It's remember that there's not a high probability that we're going to take out the orb high here. Well, looking at 1 year back, there's a 0% probability, that 0 occurrences that we've ever taken out the opening range low in this session for Friday. And this is Friday's trade, because we're working on Friday's trade. That's pretty weird. It's important to remember that if you drill down to a day, well, there's only 52 days. Could only possibly be 52 instances of a Friday in a year, right? 52 weeks. So that's why I want to try to be sure that I've got this data, that I'm looking at data that's outside the typical random distribution. Hey, Panda. How are you? Hey, baby girl. Oh, I'm getting the Wookiee cat stare now. She comes in and sits and just stares at me. But you will pet me. You will feed me snacks. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on in there. Hello. You want to get up on the table with Lucky? Huh? They love to get up on my desk and look out the window and sleep and annoy me with their luxurious lifestyles. We still only have 52 occurrences, and only 2 of them with the orb. Orb was formed first and broke out low. In 3 years. Ah, come on. Can that be true? There's another way to look at this. I think this is very important to capture just this opening range data, because I don't care or want to know in this description, or in this analysis. I don't want to know what happened at 2 o'clock this morning. That's immaterial to me. I want to know what happened and what broke out in this opening range. Now, another way you can do this is to Let's look at the whole shooting match. Let's look at the whole ETH until 8:30. See what happens up here, first of all. Come on. There we go. So this is what it would be now, looking at 5 to 8:30 in the morning, the ETH session. And with the closing where it was and all that same stuff. Closing zone and everything. You can do this by time. I think it's over here. First you can do it by opening by the orb size. And now you got it. What was that? Okay. And no, that's not the right one. You can do this by size, in other words, or by time. So what I'm not sure of yet, because I haven't looked at this particular version of the report yet, but I want to verify that I could constrain the here we are, double break before 7 p.m. Okay. Like we could change this to 1900, I think, and then see what the breakout, how it played out within the time frame that I'm interested in. That's where I was doing with that one. And where was I? Still find this one a little crazy. But this is from, in this orb, but these are the possibilities from now until the cows come home at 8:30 in the morning. So for me, it doesn't make much sense. That's why I think that it needs to be constrained by this, I believe. And we're going to run out of time here pretty quick anyway. It may not take the orb out at all. It may not break the orb at all. We're just now, we've been all the way down to 75, and now we're through 50 and heading back up here to the 25s. And I can tell you, first of all, I'm not going to front run it, nor am I going to be interested in trading it at all if we've got 10 minutes left and we're getting up here to take break the high. So it's quite possible that what I'm thinking is I need to either look at a different instrument or just briefly look at the volatility and the liquidity, or disregard this first orb completely and just start looking at Tokyo. Oh. The participants have got to be a little tired, right? I mean, it's been kind of an emotional, it's been quite an emotional period here with all this noise about so many different fires burning, so many different fires burning. Well, 20 more minutes. They got 20 minutes to do something spectacular. Or they're gonna all these lines are going to go away and I'm going to be waiting for Tokyo, which is the top of the hour. Hi, Panda. How are you? Yeah, here we go with that. Here we go with what I was anticipating where they're going to go up and take the IB break just going into the close of the hour, you know, of the session, of the opening range session as I've defined it. I don't know. That's not going to play out very well. Sure as hell, that's what they're doing, too. Yeah, exactly. They haven't broken it yet, but, you know, it's going to happen now. Well, there it is. So there's the break, and it's the high, and that's what we thought. And there's the statistic about it. And now what's the pullback going to be? Retracement is going to be, come on, wake up. So 53% to the 25. Oh, wait. No. Over here. 41% to the 25 and 18% to the 50. Nothing happened yet. I'm not doing that. You know, 13 minutes, 12, 13 minutes to go before Asia, before Tokyo. So this is ridiculous. As far as I can tell. I have to figure out how to deal with that. And quite possibly the way to deal with it is just don't bother and start watching. If I'm going to do this Globex, do it only for Asia. Actually. Okay. That might well be the plan. And that gives me a bit of a break anyway. That might be better. I'm going to grab something to drink. Yeah, I think that's going to be it going forward. I'm going to start this exercise at 1900 instead of 17. What I was talking about with that idea of quantifying the pullbacks or the interpolating, the data. So it's 53%. We're going to pull back to 25, and it's only 23% would make it to 50. Well, how would I quantify, or how would I estimate or judge or, consider a trigger? Now, none of this is here. This is 0 to 25. So it's off the table completely as far as I'm concerned. But here we go, 50 to 25 to 50. Well, you got 53% you're going to get here. And only another 22 you're going to get down here. So do you just lump it in, and if it gets to 25, you hit it? Or do you try to use some sort of other thinking or levels or references, like to here? You know what I mean? So that's something I need to figure out. I'm off any trade here. And get 9 minutes till the Asia. Now we're pulling back to 25. This is where a robust backtesting thing can come into play, because these can be the what ifs, right? That's where it is. There's a 25. So if I were just going on this rationale alone, I would say, okay, there's the opening range breakout. Here's the 25. That could be the long, or down here. But then my mind starts to think, yeah, but we just double topped up here and didn't break out with more than a tick. This looks to me like an IB failure. Mean reversion back to the DOC. And that's something that I have not figured out how to quantify or identify with this data. I don't think. I guess it does here. But that's 50-50, right? There's 53%. That isn't exactly. Now, some cases where this is much, much more probable, a much higher percentage, and that's I probably need to use that thinking to limit the trading. And we're looking back at 3 years, of course. So we're going to shut this thing down here in 8 minutes, 7 minutes, and then I'll clean off all these levels, except for the original one, which will stay on as always. And that 1900 I'll put on the beginning of Asia, or the Tokyo. Asia, I guess it is. Oh, this is trying. And in the rearview mirror, you can look at stuff like this and go, well, yeah, well, I just did an asymmetrical trade here, and I went long, put my stop right under here, and now I'm, all happy. I didn't do any of that. That's the rearview mirror technique, though. It's so easy to see, and if you're at all skilled at or understand the trading methodology a bit, you can come up with all kind of rationale to justify it. Well, this is where I went long, and this is what I did, and I knew it was going to retrace because of this, whatever. I could see that we, broke out and retraced back to here, and we weren't able to get any lower, so I knew it to go long. And that's the thing that bothers me so much about the people that don't ever trade live and the rearview mirror guys. Go back and narrate what happened, and maybe there's a value in that. Maybe there's a learning value in there if they're good enough at trading to be able to point out things that were decision triggers or something for them. I don't know. The problem is, how the hell do you know? And wouldn't it have been just a lot simpler if they narrated the market as it was developing and traded it? To me, that would be way more meaningful. And that's why I'm here doing this instead of yucking it up in, some chat room someplace, or T-Lab, even the T-Lab. Well, what a drag. Well, I can tell you one thing I'm not going to worry about is the IB low or the 75. We'll keep the 50 and the high. We don't care about the start or the ending, I'm sorry. The ending or the zone close. Come on. We'll see what they do here, if they're going to break it out again. There was a pullback exactly to the 25. But you need to, I need to remind myself that this is only 4 points. That's not much meat on the bone for the risk, right? And okay. So within the last 10 minutes or within the last 15 minutes, they take the IB high and then they pull it back and then they run it up. Or the orb high. So we'll start thinking about Asia over here. Tokyo. Let's start with the very first one. The very first one, standard. And let's look at, let's see what happened to a standard. There you go. Let's look at Asia. This is just the Tokyo one, and this other time zone here is Globex, Asia Globex. So it's from, no, I'm sorry. What am I thinking about here? 7 p.m. to, okay. Asia Globex, 7 a.m. I think this will work fine. So this is for tonight and tomorrow. And there is what's happened. Breakouts, breakdowns, and double breaks. Looking back over 3 years. Let's do one other thing. Let's look at this thing. Where'd that go? There we go. There is the end of, and here comes Tokyo on board. You see how it took off? That's their open. That is their open. So as soon as we get a little bit of horsepower on us, well, that's good enough. We'll put the Tokyo Open in. Blue boy for Tokyo. There we are. Now we've got the beginning of Tokyo going on here. And that's what we've got happening here. And let's go by day. Oh, shoot. There's Tokyo. And they immediately brought it down to the view. So let's go to my weekday. Friday. 23.15 and 61 double break. That's not very encouraging, is it? That sucks, actually. But we'll look at the first break here in a minute. And let's go make sure that, yeah, there we are. Now I've got to change this dashboard from here. Or whatever it went. Stop that. From there. Turn this one on. So this is going to be Tokyo, Asia coming up. Coming hot, baby. There we go. So now we got the Asia forming over here. And that's right there. And you guys can go back up here to sleep. There we are. So there we go. And here we go. And this is nothing burger there. Got a bar chart around here somewhere. Where the hell is that? This is RTH only, so it's not going to be here anymore. Huh. That's pretty weird. I was thinking this was a bar chart up here. I was trying to take a look at that, but anyway. So there we are. How boring. And nothing's going on else. Really? So we don't have an hour to wait for this one. In the meantime, we can start looking at the stats. Hey, Panda, you giving Dad the stare again? The Wookiee stare? He says, Mom cleaned my ears, Dad, and I hate it. I beat her. Like he's snoring so loud over there. I hope it's not too loud for the stream. So here we go. There's Tokyo. Obviously, there's the high so far. And the low so far. And I'm sure that won't last long, so I'm not going to start drawing lines everywhere. Let's see what Panda's up to here. Well, we'll see how long they're able to keep this down. That's our first level. First formed, I should say. I think that's the terminology they use. Double breaks are by far the biggest probability. Okay. Well, now what the hell are they doing? Though I really want to try this out, I am, of course, I hope I'm disciplined enough. I'm not making them up, not making up trades, which is one of Monkey Boy's favorites. And it's one of some of the bigger problems that we have as humans with our DNA, because it's like FOMO, desire to be right. One of the bigger problems we have is making up stuff, confirmational bias, where we see patterns that really aren't there, etc. So I try to be vigilant about what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, to avoid FOMO and revenge trading and all that stuff. And I have to keep, as I stand here doing this exercise, I'm not particularly sure that it's going to amount to anything, so that I have to be sure I don't try to make stuff up out of boredom or whatever. That can be easy to do. All right. Ooh, pushing out the highs, pushing out the high. Only 10 points here on the range so far, too, so that's not enough. Now this, I would be able to do a test of statistics on a strategy that is pretty widely known in at T-Lab and Static, as Rod came up with it. It's referred to as the IB30. And I could do that very definitely. Using the opening or this orb setup on the RTH. That's an interesting thought. Not for the now, of course, it's for the RTH session, but that's a widely understood statistic, and I know, you know, Rod came up with it, and I know him, and I know how he operates, so. Oh, look at that. Oh, somebody woke up about something. I would assume they're going to continue to push it up. That's why I'm not bothering to put in the top yet, nor the levels. That reminds me. I'm going to see if I can get this thing to print the levels. I don't think I can. Do anything. Well, they keep snuggling up there to that high, so. Which is the previous RTH high, so they're, you know, everybody's to the moon, Alice. And I gotta say, if they really are gonna wind up this war, even though they started it, that's the material. That would be a wonderful thing. Absolutely. That would be a wonderful thing. Look at that liquidity at the 20. They're fishing for them. All right, halfway there. I'll be pretty glad when this day is over. I'm tired, but I want to get this data analyzed here and hopefully get a trade in. I suppose 26 is the next stop. Punching it out now, they're 15 handles wide. I wish Bookmap had something like even as something as ridiculous, which I really don't like using, but like a Fibonacci tool, because then you can just pull it down. You can set the zones for 25, 50, 25, you know, and just pull it down, and there it is. So I don't have to worry about drawing those lines in and all that stuff. But they don't have any of that, which is fine with me. I don't use them. Anyhow, I was just happening to think about these zone lines and stuff. I don't think they do. Having said that, maybe I'm completely full of crap. No. I know I don't have any add-ons that do that. They're pretty light on the drawing tools here. Like these levels and stuff's pretty tough. I think it must be the way they plot on their graph, in their chart, I guess. I'm sure there's something to it. They're obviously a lot smarter than I am when it comes to that thing. But I have to say, as far as easy goes, this trading view thing is about a snap and a half as far as what I use it for. So it's been a real pleasure. Great for describing, you know, illustrating stuff and like what I'm doing now, like this drama here. I will be pretty amazed if this high sticks, but we'll put it in there just to see. I'd say the low's probably okay. 74.6 half would probably be about right. So I can, where I'm going with this is I'm getting ready to do these levels and stuff. Then we'll wait until we get the top in. It's 21.5 now. I can't imagine that's going to stick, but got 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Music is musicking? No, boy, good for me. What do we got? What is it? 74.21.5. What the hell is that? Oh. I'm a little bit big. I never know. Maybe it will stick. Never know. There could be some news going around. I don't know. Let's have a look at the newsaroonie. The only news I've really got that I can lean on at night like this is Financial Juice, and it's still going on. They're still going on about this back and forth with the Iranian thing and the Straits of Hormuz and New Zealand is reporting stuff now, so they're waking up. Everybody's waking up. I guess I can, I don't see anything here at all. Let's see something. Oh yeah, here we go. This is not updating. Trump is still yeah, I don't see anything other than this. There's a constant flow of, stuff from Trump and about unrelated things, and then Iranian state media. I don't know what Bloomberg's up to. Let's check. What's up, Walter? You awake, my brother? It's 12 hours. That's useless. That is no good. I don't know how you update this thing. All I do is turn it off and turn it back on. Turn it back on again. 2 hours ago. Okay, that seems to work. There's a lot going on right now, okay? And we're pulling back. Explosions, the Straits of Hormuz is closed, according to one side and not the other, and I think we're not doing ourselves any favor by conducting foreign policy and news and things with social media. I think that's a real curse, actually. And this basically spin news that we have going on now, like, you know, this, what's happened to CBS and following in the footsteps of Fox. It's depending, I don't care whose side, you know, who you support. News ought to be the real news. I can't even imagine how those professional announcers and people justify what they're doing to themselves, you know, how they justify their position or their job or whatever. It's like, okay, but you just said a whole bunch of stuff that was a lie, you know, and you're saying it's news. That's the weirdest thing. I don't get it. Don't get it. Well, 74.21 half. I guess we can start slapping these zones in there. We're getting close. Getting close. Let's have a look. And 06, okay. So we've got 74.17. So let's start from the bottom up. 74.10 quarter. $74.14. It doesn't sound right. Sure as hell is though. Wow. $17.75. Okay. There we have it. At the top of the hour, I'll slap the zone barrier on it, or mark. And there's our zones, IB high, IB low. So far, the IB low was formed first. So we can go look at all the data and schmata and figure this out. By rejection. Now I'm going to have to straighten out the customized things here. Friday, that's correct. That we don't know about yet. Okay. So the IB low was formed first. We've got a 78.5% probability we're going to first break the IB high. We still do not have the ending zone in here. And assuming that that does happen, that we break the IB high, there'll be a 58% probability that we're going to retrace to the 25 and 26% to the 50. So let's get back to the rejection and see how it pans out. We're on 6 months. We're on the right day. The right instrument. Okay. Just checking. A little sleepy here. Getting a little groggy. VWAP. A lot of conversation about VWAP to do with these initial balance things, and I need to start remembering to put that on. It's always in Bookmap and it's always on IRT. I got to remember to put it over on thing there. "10 minutes. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm so excited." And I can tell you right now, as has been the case for all of these, I'm going to shut this down at 2030, because I've got stuff to do here and get, life. Got to get some life done. So the next order of business will be the ending zone, and then we'll see what happens. So our orb is 15 points wide. So each one of these levels is basically 4 points. That's pretty narrow. That is not much meat on bone. Got holes in the delta over there. Was thinking something I could do to, rather than, all the drama with Bookmap, is look at the different, look at the situation on TradingView with the different instruments. That might be a good idea. It's easy to do on book or on IRT too, but I don't have all the, I don't have the zones. I can do it with the opening range trade on the RTH, no problem, but I don't have all that other stuff. It's just so much easier on TradingView. Well, just about. Mere minutes here. Mere minutes. So to determine the ending zone, once again, the closing price at the end of the orb, which is right there. Whichever zone that's in will be the ending zone, and it's determined. The weightings are assigned opposite the first level form. So this is 25, or 0 to 25, 25, 50, 50, 75, 3,500. So it will be the closing price of that candle. I'm going to guess it's going to be the 50 to 75, which is going to tilt the whole shooting match towards the IB low, the orb low, I should say. And perhaps put me off even thinking about the trade. I'll have to turn around and do the stats all over again quickly. Man. Now this is going to be, this happened once before. I know this might be boring, but if they put in a new IB low before the opening range period is over, that would turn all the data on its head. Same thing that they tried to pull on us a minute ago in the Globex. If they come down here and tag this out, even by a couple of ticks, before 2000, then the opening range high was put in first, the opening range low was put in, was following, and it changes the dynamic of the statistics all around. That's one of the reasons why I think front running is not a good, in these light markets, especially these thin markets. And of course, it need to have data to verify that, but that's my gut feeling. On Windows, sorry. Well, we got less than a minute here, like about 30 seconds, so hopefully they'll keep it like this. I'm not trying to do some magnificent falter all in the last 30 seconds. If that's the case, I'll just shut her down right now. I'll shut the stream down because I'm not going to deal with that. It's not going to happen, but, you know, we got 10 seconds left now. So the ending zone is going to obviously be in the 50 to 75 range. Yeah, it is. Now, This is something kind of interesting because there it is. Actually, you see, that was fixed here because this is the last closing price in the zone. This is the opening price, and here's closing out. So it's fixed. We haven't broken out. We're in the 25 to whatever that is. Let's look at the delta real quick. And let's put in the zone. And that's 50 to 75, right? Yeah. Ooh, look here. So now the big percentage, now the big probability, looking back 6 months on Friday, is to break the I below. So the stats have just inverted based on the ending zone. Now this goes that the breakdown, the orb breakdown would be the low is taken out, 89% probability we're going to retrace back to the 25, 44 to the 50. And I'll put the containing number right here. So there's the fix for the opening range. Let's confirm that I'm right with all that other stuff here. Hold on. Nobody move. 50 to 75 is the zone. Let's go here. What did I put? Somewhere. Where did it go? Oh, I got to get to the right go. Here we're going to break out here pretty quick. 50 to 75. Yeah. So we're gonna satisfy the 100% breakdown pretty quick, right here. Now that would be a situation where you could entertain a front run. The stats are in. The ending zone is in. There's the VWAP. There's the stat. What is that? That's 4, 5, 6 points. Pretty close. Pretty narrow. Pretty narrow range. And nothing's broken out yet. I'll be sort of surprised if it doesn't turn out being the low, but let's see what we got here. What do we have over here? Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't break the low, that's going to be kind of surprising, isn't it? And remember, this is relative to the IB now, these lows and stuff, not this general condition here with the Rankos. Ranko, Stanko, Ranko. Ooh, look at there. Boy, that was close, huh? Ooh, everybody's all nervous. I'll have to figure out those things later. Gotta scroll all this stuff back. We're still above the close, remember, the ETH or RTH close. There we go. Oh, come on, guys. There you go. So there's the breakout. Now, are we going to have, what is the retest? It's 78 or something percent we're going to get to here and only 23 to here. If I'm wrong, not wrong. So let's quickly look over here. There's the low. So it's 70%, 44%. So I guess the way I would quantify these is what I've been talking about later, is to quantify the entries on the in the mid zones, right? So yeah, in other words, quantify at what point would I can tell you what I'm thinking right now is the VWAP. And we've got a, but here's the killer. There's a 44% probability it will retrace to the 50. Typically, and actually the way the code is drawn. Ooh. Let's get over here. And over here. The way this code would fire during the day is this would be the breakout. Then there would be the retest to the 50 on the short side. That's the way this is written, but it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's not going to fire at night. It's only going to fire during the RTH because of the way I have it set up. That's that. There we are. And the data. And IRT. And now let's think about what would be the likelihood of the hedge? So we have the IB low at 6. We have that. We've got them all right. That was all cool. We're all ready to go. Assuming that I got an entry at 11.5. That would not be particularly good. Let's put it at let's put it at 74.14. And it's going to be short. That means our hedge and our add is going to be at the 17. What does that do for us? Oh, that's not so bad. That's just about, that's pretty damn close to the 75 level up here. And there may be no, oh well, let me start over. Back to the story about interpreting, you know, the difference there, the difference in the zones. Is this a zone? But if this would prove to be the trigger, there's no range. I'm not, you know. Oh, wait a second. What am I doing here? What's this down here? Hold it. What is this line? What is this zone down here doing for us? The hell is this for? This was the... What was that? I think that was a I think that was a dummy. Fat finger, man. That was a fat finger. Because here's our zones. There's our Asia, or yeah, there's our Asia period. And that was a fat finger. I probably accidentally clicked down there somewhere. After we're going to put on one of these zones because that's not a valid number, obviously. Okay. Be real careful I don't put a trade on that I don't want. That would be really disappointing. I wish there was a way, and I'm going to suggest a book map, that this column, you've got to have some hotkey protection. I would like that. So if I want to put a trade over here and then I mean it, you know, it was okay when I could select the chart or the dome columns, because there's no way I'm going to mosey over here and make a mistake. This happens too frequently. You know, alt click or something. That would get a little, you'd have to be pretty ambidextrous perhaps, because the way to put a limit order, for example, if I want to put a limit long up here above the market, I've got to shift click. Otherwise, if I click right here, left click, it would enter long right down here. And there'd be a big yellow line that went boop, down there to the entry. Like it's a market. A market order. So they better get a move on, or I'm shutting this stream down at the bottom of the hour. They better get up here and do something. And it could turn out to be just like last night, where 11:30 or 12, they came back and did everything just perfect. But if that's the case, it's going to happen without me. And that's the purpose of this exercise, is to find out if there's any interesting opportunities. Keyword being interesting. Well, I think I can pretty much... I'll wait till I'm getting ready to shut her down. Even though I just stand here all day, I forget to do my exercise. What's that, buddy? Well, they better hurry. They got 15 minutes left. And I can tell you right now, I would not take a trade, because I'm going to close the stream down and get ready to do the rest of the stuff I've got to do for that, get to bed for the 4:30 wake up and stand here and babysit a trade into the wee hours is not what I'm going to do. But I'm learning a lot, and that's the point, right? I am so far not seeing any real benefit in this as I'm able to trade it in these two time periods on this instrument. One of the things I will do is review with TradingView, because it's so much simpler, how these different things would pan out with other instruments, and micro NQ, for example. Well, a good effort, I guess, huh? And I would suppose, like last night, they'll probably come back up through here and take and the retracement will probably pan out. I mean, that's how probabilities happen, because they happen, not because somebody wants them to. Kind of disappointing, though. I like the fact that the market moves a little more methodically, and there's less, tweets or us and random crazy news events going on all the time. I was hoping that would be a benefit of this time slot, but not so much so. Well, it did pull back to the 25 level, and now back down to the IB low or below, but that's 4 points. That's nothing. I mean, that's not tradable in my opinion, and especially not this time of day. So we got 10 minutes left. All right. So let's just look at something perhaps a little more encouraging. Let's see what we're looking at here for the news. The snooze. What are we going to have for numbers tomorrow? That's always a good one. Tomorrow, we got Michigan wholesale. Okay, we got the Michigan numbers. And that's about it. The CFTCs. And of course, the big hootenannies is SpaceX IPO, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Water cannon deployed as anti-immigration riots grip Belfast. Well, there you go. And they've denied this categorically. What are you going to do? Who are you going to trust? Who are you going to call, That's the biggest problem we have now, unfortunately, is the credibility. So there we are. And I tell you right now that we've got 10 minutes left, and I'm going to, I can, pick this up in the morning and monitor it. So far, it has been pretty methodical. There's the breakout. There's the 25 retest. So the statistic right here of 69% has been fulfilled. and it traded down from it. So now it has gotten from 10 down to 4. That's 6 handles, right? Around this low volume area, not down to the new one. Yeah. So I'll wind it up at the bottom of the hour. Remember that the stream is the normal stream is every trading day morning at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time for the entire cash market. It closes at 1500. All trades are taken live, real time. Never a replay or a video. And we've got about 7 minutes here, so there we go. I've got to do some homework here and get the... Of course, if this continues to run, it's going to be one of those, oh, that was a great way to go. Now we're approaching 10 handles. That's reasonable. No heat. Probably get down to the close and settle perhaps. But that's not anything... I think I have to approach this from the point of view of the constraining levels are the IB high and, or the OB high and low. This is just, who knows? And there's no way to quantify that. So I'm going to let this wrap up here in another couple seconds or minutes. And thanks a lot for coming by. I don't think anybody did actually, but you know, that's not the point. It's my virtual journal, so interaction with others is just gravy. It just makes the time pass better and is, I think, more productive. So here we go. Trading off nicely. I don't know how I would think about that in terms of trading it. When the low is this, the IB low or higher generally considered the target. I guess the idea is if you got 4 points isn't enough. But if it was 4 points and then you get more, great, because now it's, it's rocking out. It's about 15 in here now. So I'm going to wind this stream down. The bottom of the hour. 3.5 hours, is that all? And then I've got to reset everything and set up the stream and stuff for the morning. The normal risk neutral trading. So thanks a lot. Remember, balance your life. Don't spend all your time staring at your screens. Remember how important it is to be hydrated, well rested, not on emotional tilt. Exercise, fit, all of those things help you trade better, whether you want to believe it or not. And I appreciate very much coming by the stream. I hope that there's some benefit here. It's my virtual trading journal, so it definitely benefits me, but I would hope that it's helpful to others. And another 30 seconds, and this one is in the can, he said. Have a great rest of your Thursday night.